Recording. All right, we are recording. Fire away.
Hello, I'm David Pastrui, along with my co-host Daryl Clanky. Welcome to the Automation Alley R&D podcast. We've got a couple of very special guests today from the great state of Indiana. I'd like to welcome them and ask them to share a little bit about their backgrounds and a little bit about Ivy Tech. Sue, we'd start with you.
Sure. Nice to be here, David and Daryl. I'm Sue Ellsperman, president of Ivy Tech Community College. We are a statewide, singly accredited community college, the community college system of Indiana. So about 160,000 students all total, 18 campuses, more than 40 locations. And we really own the two-year space for the state of Indiana. And I'd say one last thing about Ivy Tech, we're about 60% of our students are in the applied certifications, applied associate space going into the workforce. The other 40% are traditional transfer types of students. So happy to be here.
Welcome, Sue. We appreciate your time today. Kara.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kara Monroe, and I serve as the Provost and Senior Vice President for Student and Academic Success here at Ivy Tech. And I've been with the college now just a tiny bit over 22 years. I just started my 23rd year, and I'm excited to join you today.
Well, thank you, ladies. We really appreciate your time and expertise. Let's jump right into it here. Daryl's going to kind of play the role of the devil's advocate, maybe wear the hat of industry combined with academia, because he's got some robust experience and insights.
I'm really
yeah. Let's start out with, how are the disruptive forces associated with Industry 4.0 impacting curriculum development and delivery in community colleges? Are there any specific areas of growth or opportunity? And how is curriculum delivery changing?
Absolutely. So we are, about 2 years ago, we started rearranging our curriculum development team so that they could really start to take deeper advantage of Industry 4.0 opportunities across different curriculum areas. In particular, where we're seeing is that there are a lot of opportunities to overlap curriculum schools. So across our schools, what we may see as a result of Industry 4.0 is a program that blends together healthcare, IT, and manufacturing into a single program area. And so while we're still at the beginning of that, we want to be able to take advantage of those opportunities as they come up. And so we have designated our different curriculum teams to look across those areas to develop those programs.
Well, that sounds pretty exciting. Sue, what would you have to add to that?
Well, we certainly have gone all in on the SACA, the Smart Automation Certification Alliance. We've seen more interest in industry in that certification for sure. We're also home to AMHUB, which has developed the software for that SACA certification. And just because of the time we're in, I'll just share a story with you, talk about disruption. As we came into COVID and Indiana peaked at 14% unemployment a month and a half ago, we knew we were going to have many, many Hoosiers unemployed. So we actually had a crazy idea to offer 10,000 free either courses or certifications. Well, AMHUB, our good partner, which is an Indiana-based company, came forward and has offered the silver certification for free. So we had about 500 Hoosiers pursuing that certification prior. Now we have nearly 1,500 that are pursuing that certification, which, as you know, is a wonderful upskill for anybody who's either in the workforce or planning on going into the workforce, to have that silver certification. And then we're building on that to be able to offer the gold certification, the full certification, which requires the hands-on part of that. But I think we're seeing a lot of interest by our employers, especially now as the world is changing a little bit under our feet with COVID and the impacts it's going to have on industry. We're seeing a higher level of interest now than even before, for sure.
Wow, that's quite impressive. Daryl, do you have anything that you'd like to add or ask?
Well, I always like to represent my medium and small business friends here in the Midwest. And, you know, when I hear about certification, I don't know, it sounds like it's going to cost me more money, right? I have to pay more for these. I assume it's worth the trip, right? To have my employees or hire someone that's got, what do I get when I hire someone that's certified versus not certified? What's the difference?
Go ahead.
So the difference really is that that person has met a set of standards that are certified by an outside party. So not only do you have the transcript from Ivy Tech, you have a second set of eyes on that student saying that they have met a set of standards that are hopefully meaningful to your business. When all of this system works as well as it should be, that certification industry should actually be representing your needs in that small to medium sized business. So they should be skills that you want in your business.
Oh, it's impressive.
Yeah, and if I have an employee that seems like it's pretty close to being certified, should they come to you? Should they go to that third party organization? How do I get my employees certified?
So we're a full service certification provider, so we can take a student from end to end. We offer the student everything from non-credit into credit courses. We can certify their prior learning experience through crosswalks. And then we also offer the testing through, prior to COVID, through on-site testing services. We're now slowly starting to reset those on-site testing services. But we were also one of the first colleges in the country to restart virtual testing services, even during COVID, where we could work with the third-party provider to allow that.
Okay.
Thanks. And that leads in perfectly to my next question. And in fact, how does Ivy Tech interface with industry, both large industry and small and medium size? And can you share some other examples of collaboration where industry came to you with a specific need or a problem and you were able to help them?
So let me talk about when I came here 4 years ago. Our General Assembly, because Ivy Tech is a statewide community college, we're funded primarily by the state of Indiana. 55% of our funds come from there. They felt that we were not as close to industry as we needed to be, what they called workforce alignment. So they actually wrote a bill that had a requirement in it that Ivy Tech would have not only a provost like Dr. Kara Monroe, but parallel to her and as a partner to the provost, we would have a senior executive of workforce. So we now have a senior vice president of workforce alignment. Now it's emerged into workforce and career, and a function with vice presidents of each of those industry sectors. So statewide, we have a VP of IT, we have a VP of advanced manufacturing, we have a VP of healthcare. So in those industries and business and supply chain. So we have VPs of sectors who then their task is to really understand. They work with the state organization, the association, so the Indiana Manufacturers Association, or they'd work nationally with NAM, and really to be aligned. That has worked extremely well, and it's helped. I think the provost has plenty on her shoulders with the owning the academic programming. Now we have a group that's really outward focused, working with the industry overall, but then also specific companies. So whether it's we're like Michigan, we're very automotive focused, so they'll work with all those major manufacturers or automotive OEMs. They work with different sectors, whether it's pharmaceutical or biomedical, et cetera. So I think that has worked really well. And out of that, we emerge any number of programs or refinements to those. And like the SACA, a lot of the work around Industry 4.0 was coming out of Elkhart, where there was a real push by Lippert up there to do more. And we share a border with they in fact, I think Lippert has works with community colleges on both sides of that border, but that's an example of us developing specific apprenticeships for them, specific models, both youth and adult, and programs like the Industry 4.0, SACA certification, smart manufacturing, that are there to help them. Carrie, you probably have other examples that you might like to add as well.
Sure. Somewhat related to the conversation we just had about certification, part of the role that plays is also accreditation of programs. And we had a large company in Southern Indiana that wanted to work with one of our campuses, but that campus had not yet achieved ABET accreditation, which is an engineering and technology accreditation. And so we were able to bring resources to bear to make sure that campus got up and running with their ABET accreditation very, very quickly to meet that local industry need. So that's another area where, as we think about both the community level and the state level of taking in that data from industry and making sure that we're meeting their needs, we try to do that at 2 levels.
And I failed to mention that every one of our programs has a program advisory committee that is made up of specific industry representatives on every campus. So if 16 of our 18 campuses offer a specific program, then they're each going to have a program advisory committee to ensure that we're meeting their needs for that service area, that campus's service area and its employers.
As well as statewide advisory boards for each school.
Correct.
Well, it's also nice to see a little collaboration between Michiana, as we call it, that great area of the country that we share a common border. Daryl, you have any thoughts from the industry side?
Yeah, just another question I have is, I like the idea that there's all these different disciplines, and if I happen to be an automotive supplier, but I'm thinking about getting into medical devices, for example, can I come to Ivy Tech and can you help point me in the right direction to get started on something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We do that very regularly as any, whether it's a tier 1 or tier 2 supplier or working just as the industry evolves or that business expands and evolves over time. Kara, do you want to add more?
Nope, you did a great job, Sue.
As you look out across the horizon, what are the mega trends that you see and are starting to anticipate in the next 12 to 24 months for community colleges in the United States?
I'm going to start with what I think we're seeing on the ground, which is that transformation of curricula, which we just surveyed our students recently, as we will do face-to-face courses this fall, but we of course will still do a significant amount of online and virtual. And as we surveyed them, our students actually told us they like hybrid, which is a little both, where you come in once a week face-to-face and another time either online or virtual, and many combinations of that, and then online and then virtual, and then face-to-face was actually 4th. So wow. So while Ivy Tech had already become a very large provider of online, our provost happened to begin her career at Ivy Tech in distance education, where I'm feeling so blessed right now. And we had been spending the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, improving that online experience because there still was a gap in pass rates, which I would call that a quality gap, right? Because we'd had about 10% difference between students who would pass a face-to-face versus an online. So we'd worked very hard to build the backbone, the infrastructure, if you will, to do additional training, to hire more ed techs. By the way, we also could be more efficient about it, the way we're doing it. So we've been working on that. Well, we're getting much better. We're not there, but we have reduced that gap significantly. So as the world is moving this way, we're just going to go faster. So Kara, say a little more about what you're doing in the Ivy Online and in that world of virtual, hybrid, learn anywhere kinds of models.
Sure. So the delivery models are definitely changing. And I think they are for all of higher ed, but community colleges are uniquely positioned to meet the needs of learners in a better way than what most four-year institutions can. So we're going to see a drastic change in the way people view college as a result of COVID, in my opinion. And so as we continue to try to streamline our delivery methods to meet the needs of students. Sue mentioned Learn Anywhere, which is truly exciting for us. It's an opportunity for students to choose from week to week how they attend class and to then truly make that class fit into their schedule. And the counterpoint to that for faculty is that it also allows them to make sure they can serve all of their students. So they don't have a student who comes to them in week 4 and says that they have an illness of a family member that they then have to scramble to figure out how to help that student. They're just already planning for that up front. So it's a different way to think about meeting the needs of students.
Very good.
Yes.
Daryl,
Can I add one other mega trend, I think?
Sure.
And this one I think is back to the future. I think apprenticeships, those
Agreed.
work and learn,
Work and
co-op,
learn, definitely.
whatever you want to call it, it's
Mhm.
coming back. And for me, who came out of engineering as a co-op, it does my heart good.
Right.
But I think we're understanding that combination of working and learning and earning is a really good combination. So we're seeing it in youth apprenticeship. We're seeing it. We're having communities and industries come back and say, we want to do that. Again, we've been studying the Swiss models and other. So I think as we come out of this period where we actually can be around one another again, you will see that mega trend really pick up. And I think I look forward to what that will do to engage some of those students who didn't have the best experience, whether it was in high school or sometime in their life, lost their confidence around learning, quote unquote. I think that apprentice and other work and learn kinds of models will fit them better and give them the kind of careers that they will know ahead actually fit them well. Right.
And I want to build on that because tangentially, I think one of the other big trends is to be able to give students credit for the experience they bring into us, whether it's through competency-based education, whether it's through assessments, whatever that is. This idea that you have to sit at Ivy Tech to retake classes in work you've been doing for 15 years is something higher ed has got to grapple with and deal with. And we've got to deal with it throughout the entire system of education, from the institution level through the workforce to the federal government, to make sure that everybody is doing their part to make sure folks don't have to waste time relearning or re-demonstrating learning of something that they've already learned.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Anything else that comes top of mind in terms of mega trends or things on the horizon?
We don't know what they'll be, but I'm pretty confident that this team will, as they come on the horizon, we will figure them out, right, Kara?
That's right.
Fantastic.
You really read my mind, because my next thought was if I wanted to get some students to work for me as apprentice, if I turn that around, if I have a special project or something where it's a short-term run, I don't want to invest in a lot of equipment, but you may have it on site. Is it possible? Can I, for my small business, can I come to you and pay for a project to have students run a project for me? Is that a possibility? Or a faculty or in a class of some sort?
So we have classes that work with community organizations all the time. I'm not going to say that we've done it for a for-profit business, but we may have, and I just don't know it, Daryl. So it's very possible that we've done that in the past, and I'm just not aware. But we do it with community organizations all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, we have certainly faculty members. I'm thinking about in the Autodesk areas, or we've done the engineering designer 3D printing. Actually, during COVID, we printed more than 10,000 face shields.
That's right.
And we've gifted them to those organizations that doctors' offices and healthcare facilities, et cetera. But yes, we don't do it as a business, but we're there to help. And if we can make it a learning experience, like a service learning experience, we like that as well.
Sounds like you could connect me to the right people. That's fantastic.
Yes.
We certainly can.
Well, thanks so much. Any concluding thoughts, Sue and Kara, before we end our time together?
I will just say I'm so glad that you're doing these kind of podcasts. I think Industry 4.0, being an old timer in manufacturing, I'm excited to see the industry moving in a way that is good for people, ergonomically, I always say, as well as good for productivity, good for keeping manufacturing alive in America. and making sure that we do have robust industries and strong economies and great jobs, great careers for people as they want to pursue that end of their lives. So thanks for having us today.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And until next time, this is Dave and Daryl for Automation Alley R&D. Special thanks to Sue and Kara from Ivy Tech in the great state of Indiana. Thank you. How'd we do, Kara?
Very well.